Hello, friends, and welcome back to Stories About Entitled People. What to do with a manager who is a pain in the butt and hurts junior staff? Right, set her up and get her fired. But before we begin, don't forget to subscribe to our channel if you're new here and turn on notifications so you don't miss a new video every single day. Here we go. Awful manager equals petty revenge. This happened years ago when I was a pet trainer at a big box pet store in Canada. Background. My position was not a management position, but was important because no one could cover for me as I taught dog training classes and the store had no other qualified trainers at the time. Because of this, I was valuable and could not be fired. If she fired me, she'd have to refund all my customers their money. Not gonna happen. Relevant. We got a new manager to shape up our store. She immediately had a reputation as a jerk, both for her interactions with staff and for her reputation, which we heard from previous stores who'd gotten stuck with her. I was one of the oldest non-management staff at the great and advanced age of 21, so I was actually aware of my rights as an employee. This was not the case with most of the rest of the staff, so she coerced the kids into skipping breaks, yell at them for petty bullcrap, and generally make a gigantic nuisance of herself. I was in the break room one day, and one of our teen staff came in and told me this manager had screamed at her in front of a customer, then thrown a can of cat food at the staff member. I was now pissed. See, I'd been working at this store for 3 years, am the mothering kind, and she'd made one of the younger kids who worked at the store cry by humiliating her for no reason. Fine. You want to be a bee? Let's do this. This manager had a thing about the cat food cans. She wanted them all to be perfect, all with the labels exactly the same, no plastic wrap stacked to the front, etc. Anyone who's ever worked a place they sell canned cat food can tell you how much of a pain in the butt this is and how long it takes to do it properly. So I spread the word. If I'm working, I do cat food cans. This might not seem like much, but my job was mainly talking to customers, offering dog advice, and selling pet training classes. All that crap's on the other end of the store from the cat food cans. So I start spending 3 to 4 hours every shift meticulously facing cat food cans, carefully organizing each and every layer so they're perfect. Manager walks by and tells me to go do something. Sorry, I'm just in the middle of facing this section. I know how important it is to you. Just as sweet as pie, daring her to yell or throw something at me so I could report her to the labor board or the police. Nothing. Week after week, I'm wasting so much time back there, it's plainly ridiculous. The rest of the staff aren't just fine with this, they love it. She spent 2 months being a holy terror to them about it, and we were all enjoying her not being able to do a damn thing. So I finally get a job in my field of study and hand in my notice. My last day of work, I spend the whole shift facing the cat food cans, upside down and backwards, with the blessing of the staff who knew they'd have to fix it. Manager came in the next morning and lost her crap. A month later, she had a breakdown because all the staff had enough of her BS and were firmly on the malicious compliance train, and she left 2 pallets worth of merchandise outside the dock. With the motorized pallet jack, it rained. $10,000 worth of product ruined. Then the crazy bee got canned and the district manager too. And our second story. A greedy family of choosy beggars. There was a girl I used to be friends with. We met in elementary school and stopped being friends in our teens. Her family was nice and all, with one exception, sharing. Whenever she went to my house or some other friend's house, she would immediately ask for food. Now, this wouldn't have been a problem if the same courtesy was returned. It was not. Whenever I would go to her house, I never got any food. It was never offered, no matter how late I stayed. I feel it's a pretty unspoken social rule of politeness/courtesy that if you have a guest over, you offer them something to eat and or drink. She/they sure seemed to think it applied whenever she was the guest at someone else's house. If I was really hungry at hers, she would say, begrudgingly, that her mom would allow me to have 1 apple. Not that an apple is anything to sneeze at, but it wouldn't exactly fill a hungry kid's tummy after hours of play. And it was starting to get really frustrating and insulting, how she always expected to get snacks and dinner at ours, but if I went to hers, I got an apple. One singular fruit. If I was at hers when dinner time rolled around, they'd make an excuse and say that they didn't have enough food for me too, and made me wait in the living room by myself while they ate. If she was at mine, she expected to get dinner. And she always did. And before any question about her family being poor or unable to pay for extra food for guests comes ticking in, they were not. They were a two working parents household and always had new stuff. They just didn't like sharing with others. They were both stingy about sharing their stuff and greedy whenever they were offered stuff by others. Example, whenever she came over to sleepovers, she would bring a huge bag of her own candy. She fully expected to be offered candy by the host and other sleepover attendees, but would literally keep all her candy to herself, refusing to share. She would literally join in on eating other people's candy, then when that was gone, would sit in a corner and start on her own candy. And if asked to share, she would laugh and say no. Just plain egotistical and rude. And she got that behavior from her parents. It all boiled over when we were in junior high. I used to get up extra early every morning, then go to her house and eat my breakfast with her while she got ready. And just to add, yes, I had to bring my own breakfast, which often resulted in 4 slices of bread in my lunchbox each day, 2 for breakfast, 2 for lunch. This one day, however, I had forgotten my lunchbox at home, and I had to ask her if I could have 4 slices of bread with some easy toppings. 4 measly slices of bread. Her entire family was sitting next to us at the table, listening to our exchange. She did not look happy. She looked really annoyed. Can't you just run back home and get it? I lived uphill from her, and that would not only have been A, extremely exhausting, as I would have had to run uphill for a good 5 minutes to get it and then back, but also then I would be late for school, and the whole thing was just super stressful. After going over these points, I finally got her to agree begrudgingly, so begrudgingly. Fine, go make it yourself, she said, waving her hand annoyed. But I don't know where anything is. She, very annoyed, showed me where it was after I had to ask twice, with her trying to give me the cold shoulder. And as I sat down with my 2 slices of bread, I could feel the collected hatred seething from her entire family as they looked at me with disgust. How dare I eat their food? Had it been the other way around, would they have expected their daughter be offered food? Oh yeah. And would they have been appalled if their daughter had been evil-eyed while eating? Of course. Let's just say the next time, a year later, when I again accidentally forgot my lunchbox, I was not going to put myself through that again, so I called my mom, at work. Hey Mom, I forgot my lunchbox. Could you drive back home and bring it to me? My mom, what? Aren't you at friend's house? Don't be silly. Just ask if you can have a few slices. Me, no, I don't want to do that. Please. Silence. My mom, I knew it. Me, what? My mom, I knew you weren't getting any food at theirs. I knew it. She had started to suspect as much, seeing as I would always come home ravishingly hungry if I'd gone to hers after school. That girl. Do you know how she stuffs her face when she comes over to ours? Helps herself to anything and everything? And they won't give you a few slices of bread in an emergency? I had lied and covered it up whenever my mom would ask, as I didn't want her to dislike my friend or her family. My mom was really angry with them, rightfully so. She had to drive from work to get me my lunch, but that wasn't really the major bone of contention. My mom, if they genuinely think that kids that come over to theirs can't have more than an apple if they beg for something to eat, they're so hungry, they should start sending their kid with extra food in her backpack for when she goes to other people's houses. But no, because they're a bunch of greedy a-holes, they fully expect their kid to be treated well but won't return the favor. They have the money too. It's not like they have a good reason for acting like this. They're just stingy, greedy, and egotistical. They have 2 incomes and live really comfortably and refuse to feed their guests, yet expect their kid to come to my house and be fed when I'm a single mom running my food budget on 1 income? The sheer nerve. I mean, I think it's the only right thing to do. That's what you do when you have guests over. You offer them food if they're hungry. But when they won't return the same courtesy to my kid, that's just unacceptable. I'm telling you right now, stop inviting her over. That is some bull crap right there. I feel the entitlement and egotistical thinking bled over into her personality overall, which is one of the reasons why I stopped being friends with her. I wonder what kind of person she is today. I hope someone eventually called out her behavior and embarrassed the crap out of her. And our next story. Roommate steals my car and can't understand why she can't just come back to live here. I rent from a homeowner with my preteen child. Homeowner lets his daughter move in after some legal trouble, mainly DUIs, to get her life back together. She had been through rehab more than once and no longer drinks. Now, this is no teenager. This is a 40-year-old woman with more than one college degree and held down good jobs in the past. Now she's jobless and cleans the house in exchange for rent. Everything was going well at first. She liked smoking inside the house. I don't care, but that progressed into smoking a lot and then started drinking again. She started getting weird and mean and very paranoid. My car was in the shop, so I had a loaner car. I walked out front the day after I got the loaner, and it was gone. She stole it. I called the police the minute I saw the car stolen. She was caught that evening 300 miles away in another state. I also found out she'd stolen several $100s from me and also her dad. Many other things were also stolen. Well, she got out of jail, made her way back to our city. She's trying to justify her taking my car because she supposedly had to do something for her dad. Neither of them have vehicles of their own, something he told her not to do anyway. She denies stealing any money or all the other bad things she did. No remorse, not even an apology. We're also sure she's not quit drinking. If she has, we know it won't be long until she starts again. She absolutely cannot understand why she can't come back and live here. All I know is that she better not show up here. I will not hesitate to call the police at the first sight of her. And our last story. I shut off my neighbor's water. I recently bought my first house and moved in yesterday. In the duplex I lived in previously, my neighbor shared a water heater with my roommate and I, and all the water and gas bills were in my name. I told neighbor when I started looking for a house that I'm trying to buy a house and we should probably swap the water and gas over to him to avoid no one having no water. He seemed cool with the idea, just told me to let him know. 2 days before I closed on a house, the 3rd, I contacted the water company and the gas company and told them about the situation. They said I need to transfer all my utilities and my neighbor will need to start a new account at the duplex address. I called neighbor that same day, told him all this, and told him I'd be moving around the 15th and will probably end my utilities at the apartment around then. He said, cool, sounds good, just keep him updated. This last Tuesday rolls around, I finally have a trailer to move all my stuff. My roommate has agreed on a day to move out, so I call my neighbor, say that I'm moving in the upcoming weekend, and have told the utility companies to end my services when I move out to avoid having to share any more bills. I figure 4 days is plenty of time to get a water account set up. It's just a 20-minute registration online, and you set a date to start. I've done it 7 times while living in the city. Friday rolls around, no water. My roommate's complaining. I call neighbor. He's acting nonchalant about it, so I figure it's no problem. When I'm moving out yesterday, my roommate tells me neighbor's going around to the other members of the duplex, telling them I didn't tell him I was moving or any info about the utilities needing to be swapped over until 2 days before, which I still think is plenty of time. It takes 30 minutes to set up an account, and that I'm pulling a landlord special by shutting off utilities on other people, basically saying I'm an a-hole for doing this. I tell roommate I have call logs and texts showing I've been telling the neighbor it's all going to transfer for at least 2 weeks, and he just keeps saying, well, that's between you and him, and keeps on making jokes about me acting like a slumlord. It's really annoying. Hey guys, thank you all for watching the video. I'll see you in the next one.